All right, I am checking in and just finished my last week of the 5 milligram um, Zepbound. So over this last week, I lost 1 pound. So it was kind of a bummer of a week. And there's some struggles I went through this week I thought I would share in case anybody else has experienced similar struggles. I'm somebody who, expected to see dramatic results or fast results. And I didn't this, last week, or I really haven't since I started. And it has, I think, really impacted my motivation and ability to just really believe that that this is going to work. If you are somebody who has yo-yo dieted forever, you probably understand, the challenges with staying motivated when you're not necessarily seeing results. So I've really spent a lot of time just kind of doing a lot of internal dialogue and, trying to keep myself focused. I did have my cycle over this last week, and I do know that that impacts my weight loss. I also know that you can hit stalls, from time to time. And so I'm sure there's a variety of things that are impacting it. And quite frankly, on Zepbound, I really haven't had the same type of food aversions that I had when I took Wegovy. So when I did Wegovy, I was extremely nauseous the night of the shot and then the days following the shot. With Zepbound so far, I really haven't had much nausea at all. I did experience, maybe a few days here and there directly after the shot where I had slight nausea. Nothing at all compared to what I experienced when I was on Wegovy. And maybe I am just comparing the experience so much. But I really haven't had much food aversion. Now I am having reactions if I am eating something extremely, like a big portion of ice cream. I immediately, or maybe not immediately, but shortly thereafter, I'll feel it, and I'll, obviously have some stomach issues that come from that. But really, there's not a big aversion to eating. And so I'm finding myself really having to stay focused and catching myself making bad decisions from a food perspective, and just really trying to stay on track. And for me, it becomes really important to prep and have things ready for myself so that I can stay on track. So some things that I have done over the last few weeks to just try to keep some healthy options for me. I have been prepping some keto soup. I'm not on a keto plan, but I have a keto soup recipe that is just so amazing. It tastes very similar to the Toscana soup at Olive Garden. And so, but it has, very few carbs in it. And that is one of my favorite soups, regardless of the fact that it happens to be keto. So I have been making that, and I bought these silicone molds for the freezer. It is just myself. I have a 22-year-old son and a 3-year-old daughter. So I don't often make big pots of soup because it goes bad. So I ended up buying these molds so that I could prep my soup, make it, freeze servings of it, and then have them easily accessible when I want something pretty quickly. And that is a problem of mine in general, is that I'm not normally somebody who I'll graze if food is in front of me, but I don't normally crave big meals. Normally, I don't think about food, and then I go way too hard, eat everything in sight, and will make myself sick later. So I've been trying to really prep food, have things ready, because when I am hungry, it's almost like a fierce, like I need to satisfy it now. And if I don't have food ready, I will I'll eat whatever, and I will overindulge. So, so I've really been trying to force myself to both prep and have things accessible for myself so that I can eat pretty quickly when I want. And then also force myself to like incrementally grab snacks here and there. So keeping oranges and apples and things that I really enjoy accessible to myself, to force myself to eat before I'm even really hungry. So that is, that's kind of where I'm at right now. I did lose a pound this week. So despite the fact that it's been a really rough week, I didn't feel very successful. I lost focus on my food. I did eat things that I should not be eating, certainly not in excess, and I've eaten in excess of what I should be eating. So I had indulged in quite a bit of ice cream, which I shouldn't, but I have. I also didn't drink as much water as I should have this week. I had gone a week without coffee and was doing really good on my water. This week I had coffee again, just a cup a day, or not a cup, but like a couple cups in one big cup, a big cup a day. And I did find that impacted my water. So I do need to think about either scaling back on the coffee or just being more mindful when I'm having coffee that I'm not also eliminating water or not getting the right amount of water in. I mentioned the difference between Wegovy and Zepbound. On Wegovy, like I said, I felt it right away. Maybe not the very first dose, but starting the second month, I felt all of the doses. And the night of my injections, I would be incredibly nauseous, and that would bleed into the morning. So I would go to sleep, incredibly nauseous. I'd wake up incredibly nauseous and really struggle throughout that second day, especially. And then it would kind of dissipate throughout the week. And I think that really is what drove a lot of the weight loss that I had with Wegovy. I just didn't feel like eating. Certainly the food noise was off, but there was also a lot of aversion there because I felt nauseous all the time. And I really struggled the night of the injection with Wegovy. I think my problem with Wegovy was I really kind of hit a plateau and couldn't get over it. I had lost about 40 or so pounds with Wegovy, hit a plateau, couldn't get over it, and ended up going a few weeks without, where I missed a dose. I was traveling and I missed a dose, and on Wegovy, because it makes me so sick, getting caught back up when you've missed even one dose was a nightmare, absolute nightmare, to try and get back to where I was from a nausea perspective. So when I realized that I needed to go back to the doctor to either start over on Wegovy, I did look into Zepbound. Zepbound was something that I've heard of people having a lot of success with, having even better success than Wegovy. It wasn't an option for me when I started Wegovy. My insurance didn't cover it, and it does now. So I talked to my doctor about trying it. So he did. And like I said, I'm on month 3 with it. And with my pound this week, I'm officially down 7 pounds, which again, not a lot. I lost way faster initially when I was on Wegovy. So, I think for me, there's a couple things that I really need to just kind of like re-cement myself as I move forward this week. I do take the next injection tonight, which is the 7.5. So I will be tracking how I respond to that tonight. I've heard a lot of people struggle going from 5 to 7.5. So I am a little nervous about that, as odd as it is, because I haven't really felt much on the 5. I am still nervous about what that experience will be anytime I adjust. So I'll do that injection tonight and then see how this week goes. But my focus this week is going to be to try to put a little less emphasis on the scale and really force myself to think about what my actions are each day, and not necessarily what the result is of those actions. Because the reality is, if I can focus on getting my steps up, if I can focus on just making better choices throughout the day and being more planful in those decisions, the weight will follow. And so, I have to get myself out of the habit of relying on the numbers on a scale as my point of success or failure. And I think that is the biggest mental block that I have, which is if I'm not being successful, then I feel as if everything is a failure. But the reality is, it wasn't one thing that caused me to gain a significant amount of weight over decades. It is the combination of many things over a long period of time. And so I just have to really focus on making small and incremental changes to help myself get back on track. And so I've been setting really small goals for myself. Hopefully also my period ending will be helpful in this week. But I've been setting really small goals. So I did buy a fitness tracker a few weeks ago, because just relying on my phone wasn't really cutting it. If I don't carry my phone, my steps aren't being tracked. I work from home much of the time. And so I actually found, when I started tracking my steps, that it was abysmal. I mean, it still is, but it was like, I would have like a day where I was getting under 1,000 steps, which is crazy when you think about it, because just coming from my bedroom to the kitchen to my seat, or to take my daughter to school and come home and I'm sitting on the couch, like, to only get 1,000 steps tells you exactly how sedentary I was. Even going to the bathroom, when you're drinking a lot of water, you should be racking up those steps. So I think between a combination of not having my phone and all of those steps, and it's just not a lot of steps, my step count is really incredibly low. And then, I think when you track your steps, you tend to set these really, maybe some people would consider it moderate goal, but for me, setting a goal of like 7,000 steps, which is what all these trackers suggest as a baseline starting point, that's a big jump if you are going from 1,000 steps a day. And, again, I live in Pennsylvania, where it's been freezing, so I'm not going outside walking. So, these steps I'm getting in the house. So I have been tracking my steps. I set myself a goal a few weeks ago of just getting to 2,000. So if I can just get my steps to 2,000 a night, I'm happy with myself because that's double what I was doing. And I've been doing that now for regularly for 2 weeks, where every single day I've been getting 2,000. There have been a couple nights where I haven't quite got to 2,000, and I made myself go do some steps inside to get to 2,000. So again, very, very small, but I've been doing it pretty regularly. And now it is happening at a point where I'm not even really thinking about it. So this week I'm focused on moving my steps up to 2,500 to 3,000. So within that range is where I want to be. I did buy a walking pad. I actually have one back there that I bought a long time ago, and it's super heavy. It was supposed to be for under the desk, but it is super heavy. And the remote it came with didn't work. And then, oddly enough, the remote for the television in the other room actually turns that thing on when it's plugged in, and will change the speed as somebody adjusts the volume, will change the speed of that one. So it has been unplugged sitting there for over a year since I got that. So I did buy a new one this week. It came in yesterday. I had my son help me set it up yesterday. Super easy to put together. And today I used it for the first time officially. So I did it a little bit last night after we set it up just to see how it went. And I have put some pretty stringent rules on myself with the walking pad. So I have set a 5-minute cap on how long I'm letting myself walk on it at a time until I get used to it. I am somebody who tends to really go really hard at something and then get really upset when I can't keep it up, and I get discouraged and I will quit. And so I'm really trying to be focused on doing this different until I get to a place where it is not as much effort. So I have decided that my goal for steps is to get me to 2,500 to 3,000 steps a day. And I am capping how long I'm allowed to be on the walking pad to 5 minutes at a time. And so the idea is that incrementally, where I have 5 minutes in my day, I will get up and I will walk. And then when I hit 5 minutes, even if I feel like I can go longer, I'm stopping myself and I'm getting off, because I really need to focus on not letting myself overdo it and then get discouraged when tomorrow I'm not overdoing it. That has actually worked. So today it is only the afternoon and I'm already at 2,600 steps. So I have been on it twice today. I did 2 5-minute rotations on it. So it's just over half a mile. Just looking at it, it's right next to me. It's just over half a mile that I did on it. And that was just over 10 minutes. So it was like 5 minutes, 30 seconds the first time, and then 5 minutes the second time. And I felt like I could actually walk more, and I stopped myself. So it actually, I think, made it really fun today. I am looking forward, even though I'm at 2,600, I'm kind of looking forward to doing another 5 minutes at some point. And I don't feel tired by it, I think, because I forced myself to get off at the 5-minute mark. So I'm feeling pretty optimistic about that and my approach with it. So we'll see how that goes this week, but that's my goal this week, is between 2,500 and 3,000 steps until that becomes habit. And then focusing back on the actions I need to do each day versus what the scale is telling me each day. So that's my focus for this week. And yeah, so I'm feeling optimistic. I will do the shot tonight, and I will track any symptoms or any side effects that I have to report out next week. But I am, like I said, 1 pound down this week, 7 pounds down since I started. And it's a small number, but, I will say I did Weight Watchers when I was a teenager. And the coach at Weight Watchers one time told me, or the group, I don't know, that they